In today's class, we're going to be looking at object-oriented programming. So what is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is a way of writing program where you write your programs in form of classes and objects. Let's say you want to build a house. The first thing that you do is that you're going to have your building plan. And then from the building plan, you can now erect the physical building. So with regards to object-oriented programming, the building plan can be considered as the class, while the physical building is considered as objects. So objects-oriented programming is a way of writing programs where you write your programs in form of classes and objects. Now we're going to start by defining a class. And for you to define a class, the first thing that you do is that you're going to provide the keyword class. So start by writing class, and then the next thing that you're going to do is that you're going to provide the name of the class. In this case, we can call it building, and then you put a colon. Then every other thing after the colon is considered as the body of the class. So in this case, I can say pass. Pass means nothing, so we're just creating a dummy class. So the next thing that we're going to do after creating a class is to instantiate the class. So for you to instantiate the class, you are going to have a variable. Let's call this object, obj, and then we'll put the equality operator, and then we'll provide the name of the class, in this case building, and then we'll put a parenthesis. So this is instantiating of the class, and then this is defining the class. This variable serves as the object of the class building, and from these objects you can be able to access the attributes or methods defined inside of the class. So I'm going to remove this and let's define a proper class. So the first thing that you do when you define a class is that you're going to provide a constructor. And for you to do that, you are required to provide a special method known as init. So we're going to have def, and then we'll have double underscore, and then we'll put init, and then we'll put another double underscore. So the first parameter you're supposed to put here is self, after which you can then put other parameters. Let's say we want to have a name. So we'll now put a colon. And then we're now going to provide our instance variables. Instance variables are variables that are tied to every object of a class. So let's start by saying self.name is equal to name. So this self.name is considered an instance variable. So we'll also consider instance variables as attributes. Now we've just defined a class and we only have one instance variable, which is self.name. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to instantiate the class or create an object of the class. So for us to instantiate this class, I'm going to use building with small letter to represent the object of the class. I put the equality operator, and then I provide the name of the class, in this case building. And now I'm going to put a parenthesis, and inside of this parenthesis I'm required to put the name of the building. So I can call this, let's say, house. So now I've instantiated the class. So if I want to access the instance variable, I can use the dot operator. So let's say I want to find out the name of the object. I can say name is equal to, and then I provide the object, and then I use the dot operator and then specify the instance variable, in this case name. So if I print name and run this program, is going to give me house. So the good thing about object-oriented programming is that you can define a class and then create as many objects of the class. So I can call these other objects, let's say building 1 is equal to, and then I still provide the class, which is building, and then I can provide the name. So let's call this one a duplex. So if I want to access the instance variable name, I can say print, and then I say building 1 dot name. So if I run this code, it's going to give me duplex. So let's say I want to have more instance variables. Let me include color. So I can have an instance variable self.color, and then I assign it to color. So what this means is that if I'm to instantiate this class, I'm going to include color when instantiating the class. So I can have something like, let's say white, and then I close the parentheses, so that if I say print building dot name, is going to give me the name of the building, which is house. If I want to get the color of the building, I can say print, and then I'll say building dot color, and then this is going to give me the color. In this case, we'll have white. Now we've learned how to define classes with instance variables. The next thing that we're going to learn is how to define methods. So when we say methods, methods are functions that are defined inside of a class. Just like functions, you define method using the def keyword. So I'm going to have def, and then let's say I want to call this method info, and then I'm required to put the self here, and then I put a colon, and then the next thing to do is that I'm going to provide what this method is going to return. So I can say return, I'll use my f string and say maybe self.color, and then I can have self.name. So now if I want to access the method, I can quickly say print building, and I use a dot operator and provide the method, in this case info, and then I provide my parentheses, so that if I run this program, it's going to give me white house. So when talking about object-oriented programming in Python, we'll have two very important concepts, which is inheritance and composition. In the next video, we're going to be starting with inheritance.